This is your host,
Anthony Ellis.
As I continue with my journey, at Eaton Hall Great House, as I walked down to the beach to take a shower, I took off all my clothes, stand in the water, in the sea, and I keep rubbing the soap on myself. You know, I realized the soap wasn't working a lot at the time. So what I did was I threw the soap in the sea, and I said, my nice smelly palmolive soap, I said, oh, maybe it's not good. So then I kind of dry myself off back with the towel and start to walk back up to the great house. And there was this guy on construction. He was making his breakfast because it was in the morning, and I remember he was frying eggs and bacon. And then he looked at me and he said, I don't want no white boy pass my breakfast. And then he got a blue helmet on, and he took the helmet and struck me in my head. Right away, my eyes filled with water. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it because it really hurt. It's really painful. So I look at him, and I saw a bottle heap in the distance. And I remember I run over the bottle heap, and I pick up, I was so hungry, pick up a green bottle, and I look at him and I point and I strike him right in the neck with the bottle. The thing is, as when we were growing up as young children, my 4 brothers, exclude my 2 sisters, we were like marksmen. We don't throw a stone and you don't get hit, you know. So, and then when I look back, I could see, I started to run towards the building. Then I saw my brother was coming. He was coming full blast. And a whole group of guys, maybe about 8 or 10 of them, they run and they grab my brother and hold him down on the ground, you know. And then this guy, he ran away, left his breakfast and everything. I never see him again. Yeah. So that's what some people get, to be discriminated against. And especially when you know, when I was in construction, I was the only white one. Nobody know that I had black relative there. So yeah, you know, when I think about it, it's always good to have multiple color in your life. You know, people don't know who is who, and people take disadvantage of you. You know, especially children. You know, and I grew up hate people who take disadvantage of children. You know, my job as a young man growing up, I always look out for the young children, and I you know, I have my regret, especially when something happened to them and we are not related. So I can, you know, because if I related to them, then I have to take some form of revenge. That's the way I felt when I was very young. Yeah. So anyway, it was at that time my brother told me I cannot use the soap in the sea because the salt water doesn't give off doesn't make the soap sud. So anyway, I was in that great house for maybe a week and a half, and then maybe Thursday evening, I saw this man. He came over. It wasn't in the evening, actually. It was about lunchtime. And those guys, you know, my brother didn't provide for me, but when there was some other guys, when they cook, they always gave me a plate of food, you know, and they gave me water to drink. So, like I said, some people take care of me, but I don't even know who they are. That's the funny part. My brother was, even though he was bigger than me, I think he didn't have any, he didn't know how to look after me, you know. So when I get my pay on a Friday, I buy chicken noodle, I buy Irish potato, and onions, butter, and then I would, make dumpling. And I cook for me and my brothers, and some other guys, would join in, but my pot was always small. And then sometime when we don't have nothing to eat, one guy teach me to go on the sea, on the side of on the sea rock, actually, with a bucket, and we pick up some, they call them wilks. They are in a shell, so we had to put them in a pot, boil them, and then when they come out, they pop out from the shell, then we take them out, clean them up, and I would make soup with them, with chicken noodle, Irish potato, dumpling, for me and my brother. Yeah, I think I was the, one who make provision for food. Sometimes we were so hungry that we don't have food. We have to walk on the sea rock, and then there's a grape tree there with grape on it, some small little grape. We have to eat that, and it was very sour and stain, but it's survival, and that kind of life I never really experienced, because even though my father was sick and I was living home with my father and my mother wasn't home, before my father sick, when I was growing up, we have everything, all the fruits almost all, I would say, the fruit you can think of. So even though we didn't know how to cook as young children, we, in the morning, we got all kind of fruit. We just go pick fruit from the tree, eat just like that. Avocado, we pick up underneath the tree. Here, back home, we call it pear. They were like, when we eating them, they were like cheese. We could eat our stomach full, at that. We eat orange, we eat grapefruit, we eat tangerine, and then we have some huge fruit called jackfruit. They smell like ripe banana. We usually eat a lot of that. And then we would boil the seed and eat. And of course, when my mother leave home, we have lots of chicken, and they all disappear. The rabbits disappear. We didn't know how come they disappear. But then when I grew up, I started to think otherwise, that people steal our stuff at night. That's why everything disappear. And I didn't know how to kill the chicken. Anyway, as I keep going back and forth, I remember one day, about on a Thursday, I saw this man. He was Indian. I didn't know he was Indian until long after. And he had on a white coverall. And those guys, they get turtle eggs, and they mix it with dragon stout and milk, and they hand this man a drink from a can. There's a can that they, where they pour the oil from the can, the oil in the engine oil from the can, and they would wash the can out and use it as a container to eat or drink from. So they handed this man this can of drink, and he called me over. He was sitting under a tree with lots of guys around him, and I remember he had a gun in his waist too, So he said to me, he asked me what am I doing there, and I explained to him that my father is sick, my mother is away working for us. My mother did go to Kingston, working and come home like once a month. And so I explained everything to him. And then he asked me, do you eat from people? And I said, no, sir. And then he said to me, okay, here's a can of drink it won't kill you. So I take it, I reluctantly drink it with a very heavy heart, Then, after I finished drinking it, he pointed in a direction of a truck, a coconut tree, and a White House. And he said to me, you see that White House in between the coconut tree and the trucks? And I said, yes, sir. So he said, okay. 4 o'clock, go over to that house, and you will see my wife. Her name is Polly. Tell her I send you. Yes, sir. So in the evening, I went over, and I knocked on the door, and this lady came out with a baby. Okay, and I told her what her husband said, and then she invited me in. I went inside. Maybe 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, the husband come, and it was dinner time, and they served me a plate of macaroni with tomato and steak. So I ate half of it, and I leave half, and they said, "You don't like the food?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm trying to save it for my brother, you know." And they said, "Okay, eat. We will give you some for your brother." So that's what they did. I ate. Then I gave me a plate for my brother. I took it to the hotel for my brother. And after that, I returned back with the plate to the house. And they gave me a room in the house and said, "This room is yours." So I was so grateful. After I leave my father home, and I got my own room with my own washroom. And I remember on a Saturday morning, there were 3 children show up at the house. 2 young kid at the time, school age, just a little bit. I think I was a little bit older than all 3 of them. There was one girl and her 2 brothers.